I should have got a haircut, Ted.
So Kevin, you had your brother Bill played on Coach's first team.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the 74 team. Your son, both your sons played in the early mid 2000s. So you kind of have an arc of Coach's entire career at
I do.
Brother Rice. What are some of your earliest memories, even going back before you were at Brother Rice, but your brothers were there?
Well, what was great is my brother Marty was a sophomore there, and when Al came in, and I was at Holy Name, and we had heard all these stories about this new guy that had come to Brother Rice that was just a phenomenal coach and very demanding and just expected the best from everybody. So it was exciting, and I remember when we came in as ninth graders at Rice, and how quickly we realized that we were in a whole different world when we got to Rice. There were very talented athletes there, and Al had already transformed that program into something really special, and it was pretty intimidating. I remember coming in as a freshman and seeing some of these fantastic athletes who were all in fantastic condition, because conditioning was a huge part of the formula, I think.
Yeah. Give a little background of your family, in particular your father.
Well, my father was a 1949 Heisman Trophy winner, and he played for the Lions for 8 years and was an all-pro player for 4 years of the 8 that he was there. He played both ways. He played defense and offense. Tight end, and he did a little bit of fullback as well, but he was a really good defensive end too. So he had quite an insight into the game and kind of an old-fashioned view of the game, that he and Al would have conversations about players who didn't play both ways. My father thought that was the way to do it, and Al knew that the teams that had to play two-way players were going to be at a deficit eventually. So he really strived to get 22 starters on the team, and I think he still does that. But
now your freshman and your sophomore year, you were defensive end and tight end. When did Coach move you to tackle?
The summer of was actually the end of the junior year. He said, I think we ended our last game at Seaholm, and I don't recall who we played when you and I were juniors. And I caught a pass from Chris Thomas, and it was a touchdown. And at the end of the game, he came over and said, "Well, enjoy that, because that's the last pass you'll be catching at Brother Rice." And I was like, "Oh, what's this all about?" So it was almost immediately. He was already moving the chess pieces around, and he felt that it was really going to be in the best interest of the team for me to move inside the ends, to play tackle on offense and defense. So
He actually did that with a number of the players.
he did. Mm-hmm.
We had Rocky Rowe, who was, I think he was all-league his sophomore year,
Mm-hmm.
before he transferred.
He was a quarterback, yeah, and they moved him. Yeah, he moved him to tight end, and Rocky was a very good tight end. Yeah,
Right.
and I think because of his senior year at tight end, he received a scholarship to the University of Florida.
It was,
So Coach had a pretty good insight of where people belonged.
he,
It was
he
fun.
knew where to move, like you said, the chess pieces,
Mhm.
but to create the best 22 players out there. I think
Yeah.
you were one of maybe 3 or 4 kids that went both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I know Jim Levois
Yeah.
went both ways. You went both ways. I can't remember.
Sometimes Casey Ryan would run at fullback, and
Right, but there weren't a
yeah,
lot.
yeah, it was odd.
We
Yeah.
had the luxury of having that deep of a team where we could have
Mm-hmm.
18 kids that just played one position, either offense or
Yeah,
defense.
it was a great group of guys. Everybody wanted to contribute wherever they could, all the time.
Well, talk about coach's ability to sell something as difficult as you not being able to pursue the position that your father won a Heisman Trophy at. I mean, that's
Yeah, it was, but it was really, it made sense, you know, it was really, because that's where we needed some, we had a running, primarily a running game. We were going to run the wishbone, and the tackle spot was vital to the success of the team on offense especially. And it 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 was hard. It was a hard pill to swallow at first, but after our first game, and then as we were going, you know, even before that, prior to that, we could see that something was really happening. This was a wonderful group of guys that would do anything they could to help the team at any level, at any position, or at any, whether they were first string or third string. Every practice was highly competitive. Every practice was dead on all the time. So it was really, I think, even from our within our own groups, like, to complain about where you were on the team was like, that was just, that wouldn't go very far. It wouldn't get any traction. So I think once you accepted that and you knew that this team was going to be something special, that didn't matter, you know.
You played for Coach. You're on his coaching staff. Your sons have played for Coach. You've seen him over a number of decades.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Okay. How has Coach changed, and how has he remained the same?
Well, yeah, that's a great question, Ted, because I've watched him when you and I played. We never, if we threw the ball, it was just because we wanted to keep our receivers happy. You know, we just wanted to make sure that they felt like they were included, because we ran our double tight, we ran the wishbone, and it was just smash mouth football, and we were in fantastic condition, and that was part of his mantra, was, you know, flexibility, conditioning, discipline, and unselfish. Yeah, exactly. And it works. It still works now, and he still implements it. But now his coaching style, or his offense, is much more innovative, and almost primarily a passing game. You know, they run the spread offense. They do a lot of modified pro sets. I mean, they're very dynamic, very quick team that is a lot different than when we played. When we played, you know, he would yell plays from the sideline, and as we mentioned earlier, he would say, run that again, right side. He'd call the play out from the sideline, and we would just line up and run it. And that was really a great thing too, because I think we had the confidence that at a certain point in time, the other team was going to run out of gas, because we were in such great condition. We started conditioning in January, and it got heavier and tighter and faster and harder. You know, by the time August came around, it was like we were like caged animals. We were ready to go. But now, you know, getting back to your question, is the style of his offense is so remarkably innovative. I mentioned earlier that when I lived in Dallas, he had come to speak to Division I college coaches about the quarterback play techniques, and about the spread offense, about the passing game. And he is a renowned professor of the passing game. When we played, he wasn't that way. Now, a lot of the elements that I think were successful when we played are still very important. You know, he talks about character, about being a part of something bigger than you are, about the importance of teamwork, the importance of unselfish and relentless behavior of every player on the team. Every player feeling like he was vital to whatever was going on. So it really works, and it still works now. And I love watching it, because the kids just respond beautifully to it. They want to do something that's very difficult. They want something that's demanding and has a mission to it, you know.
What elements did you learn in high school playing for Fracassa that you've taken on throughout your life?
I think, you know, one of the things that that I learned is like no matter what, no matter where the game is or where it's played, when it's played, what the score is you're always at, always giving your best, no matter what space or how badly you're getting beaten or how well you're winning. You still do things appropriately. You win right and you lose with grace, and you win with grace. That I think I take that with me because it changes. It constantly
How
changes.
about elements, and like, you're a successful architect in Birmingham, Michigan, you run your own firm. Are there elements that you learned on the football field, on the practice field with Fracassa that help you in how you run your business?
Yeah, I think just recently with the downturn in the economy, you have to contribute wherever you can. You have to be something. You have to make something different happen. When things aren't working, you have to go find a way to make it work. And there's some things that we do now as as we were luxury home designers, for instance. Well, that market has pretty much dried up. So we have to be something different. We have to be engineers. We have to be construction managers. We have to be civil engineers. So that part of my experience with Coach Fracassa taught me that it's never over. You just never give up. You can't give up no matter what is happening. There's a way out. There's a way through it, and there's a right way to do it.
And if you know the strengths of your staff, you can put them in positions to help them achieve.
Yes. Yeah.
But you can't fear change.
Exactly.